26 of All Killa No Filla podcast with me, Rachel Fairburn, and Kiri Pritchard McLean. Just before we begin, we'll do our usual disclaimer. This podcast is not hero worship. We do this podcast because we have a mutual interest in serial killers, and as long as we are doing this podcast, it stops us from writing to them in prison.
Special edition coming from inside an airing cupboard at the Edinburgh Fringe Festival.
Fringe, yeah.
This is the kind of thing that they do in the 80s at the BBC as like a quirky thing. But this is necessity. We're sat in here. It is an airing cupboard, isn't it?
It is an airing cupboard.
And there's, I don't know, kids' pram folded up.
Pram.
And you're sat on two pillows.
On two filthy old pillows, yeah.
That's not a euphemism for anything.
For my buttocks.
Filthy old pillows.
These filthy old pillows.
Go on, fluff up my pillows.
Look at the filthy pillows on that.
We've gone very carry-on straight away, haven't we?
Straight away. I think we've had too much comedy over the past couple of weeks.
Not enough is what the fucking problem.
I think I'd be happy never to tell another joke ever again.
Yeah, well, no worry about that, guys. I've got that sorted.
On stage as well, I'm starting to actually deliver things differently because I think I'm bored of stuff.
Yeah,
and then it's not working. Yeah. So it's going great, is what we're saying.
So normally we do live shows up here, but where we had a bit of trouble getting a venue. But we are starting to do live shows in different cities in the UK. So we're going to set up a mailing list and we're going to put some bonus stuff on there and we'll be telling you about our live dates. But I hate all that stuff because it makes us feel really cringy. So let's just crack on with episode 26.
We are doing Xinhai.
Now, I don't know that that's how you say it, but you're pretty confident.
I'm pretty confident because I used to work with professors and I worked with a Chinese professor. And her name was...
You saying they all sound the same?
No! I'm saying... Because I worked with her and she was an expert in China.
She was a serial killer.
And she was a serial killer. But she, I'm pretty sure Xinhai.
Cool, Xinhai. He's got a really cool nickname as well, hasn't he?
The Monster Killer.
That's fucking cool. Although, actually, the Monster Killer is like... Well, that's Buffy, isn't it?
That is.
That implies that he is... The monstrous killer... But the monster killer implies that he's battling for the forces of good.
Yeah, it sounds like he's...
When he's not, he's beating to death old women with a hammer.
Oh, God, it's awful. It's going to be...
Some would argue that is, but not me.
It's going to be... It's interesting, actually, because this was another one, as we have found with Chinese serial killers and Russian serial killers, it's very difficult to find any information on these people.
Yeah. Any commies, any pinkos, it's very hard to sort of...
Yeah.
dig up anything because their government just shuts that shit down. In fact, the government, the trial only lasted an hour. They wouldn't release any of the victims' identities. So, because normally we like to talk about the victims as much as we talk about the horrible killers, but we can't because they were never released. And they said it was to protect the victims, but there was a big sort of examination into it afterwards in the media, and they think it was just China's way of shutting it down to sort of portray to the West that it's a very non-violent, peaceful country. So they said that stories were killed in the media, and I do think there's a much better term for that.
Yeah, they could have picked a different... Quashed would have been a better word,
exactly,
I think. Not
silenced.
Killed. Yeah.
There's so many words, but they went for killed. But I was thinking, maybe it's because Chinese people just aren't... Or the population of China or the government is not keen on murder in general. But apparently they went fucking berserk over Gary Ridgway, the Green River Killer. When that was out, it was in the news every single day for months.
Because this was at a similar time, actually, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
So when Gary Ridgway was doing what he did, it was in a lot of the papers and people were really interested in it, but they're totally ignoring what's happening on their own doorstep.
Yeah, I think it might be a little bit like, with magicians where they're like, look, there's nothing up this sleeve, and in the meantime they're slipping on a false thumb in their pocket. It's the version, it's a sort of like media sleight of hand, isn't it?
Yeah, very much so.
So this isn't going to be as long as we would like, or as in-depth as we like, but there we go, because it's this weird kind of version of, I don't know, do you call it, is this Chinese Democracy? No, it's a terrible album, but it's...
Yeah.
I don't know, it's representative of the state, sort of, what's the right word, censorship of the media. Although... Chinese Democracy is a funny one. I was thinking the other day, so my friend told me about this website that I don't know how I've got onto this so quickly.
What have you got for us?
It's basically called buyanewhyman.com. It's something like that, and it's a sister company of typevagina.com. Type Vagina Shop, in fact, it might be called. And
what does that sell?
Well, it's like a thing that you put in to make your vag tighter.
Like a Kegel muscle thing?
No, it's not.
Just something that's...
It's like a fake vag, I think, that's a bit smaller. that you pop in. I don't know how it works.
That's what Ed Gein had made.
It absolutely is. He was a visionary.
A vagina.
They sell these, genuinely, they sell these fake hymens, and they're just like, I don't know what it looks like. It's really grim. It's like this plastic thing that you whack inside you, but you can't put it in too early, because otherwise it'll just disappear. But apparently it's sort of like, you can feel it inside, like expands inside you. It's like Chinese food. It fills you up and 20 minutes later it disappears. But you pop it in, and then it's like, it will feel to the guy like there's a hymen in there, and then it's got fake blood, and it just sort of bursts. So, and it's all like, hide your dark secret on your wedding night. He might never know. And the reason why I'm telling you all this is not because I was like, I've got one in right now for the podcast. It's our sponsor. Is that it's called a Chinese hymen, because they're obviously very bought in, like, big hit in China. It's weird, isn't it? I think that China needs a new PR.
Yeah.
Not got anything good, have they? Chinese hymen, Chinese burns, Chinese whispers,
Chinese finger trap.
Isn't that the hymen? A tight vagina.
Chinese working hours. Absolutely terrible. Yeah, I think there's some weird stuff in there, China.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd like to go.
You don't like the food though, do you?
No, I'm allergic to fish, so I have a real distrust of...
Well, they've just whacked fish in, anything.
Yeah, I mean, because I had a massive allergic reaction to Chinese food, and to be fair, I had several drinks, and I did try and eat some one special fried rice that had prawns on the top, knowing damn well that I'm allergic to seafood. And the next day, I woke up, I thought, my face feels a bit funny, and I woke up, and I thought, and I looked in the mirror, and I went, oh God, is that my face? And I said to my boyfriend, I said, is my face swollen? He went, don't get upset. Which means you're going to get upset. Anyway, I went to the hospital, and I got to the reception desk, and the lady behind the counter went, well, someone's had an allergic reaction.
Oh, what?
Yeah. And I went, don't ruin it. Let me get diagnosed first. Tell me what's going to happen before I've seen the doctor. And I spent the next half an hour vomiting into one of those plastic hats that they give you, because I was frightened. And it looked like I'd been battered, really. So I'm sitting there with my boyfriend, and he's like, these people think I've punched you in the face.
Getting angrier and angrier at the fact.
And in between all this, there's a character called Peter Barlow from the popular UK soap Coronation Street.
Oh, yeah.
Who, played by an actor called something or other, can't remember his name.
Why even bring it up if you don't know his name?
I do know his name, and I can't remember it right now. I can't remember. Anyway, he bizarrely was in the waiting room, and when he'd been to see me at a gig a couple of months before, just by coincidence, and I said, oh, Peter Barlow's in here, do you think he'll recognise me? And my boyfriend was like, I don't think he'll recognise you today, Rachel. I would leave it. Anyway, that's my experiences with Chinese food.
Well, that's really it's quite an insight. I must have told on this story on this podcast before. I've told you the story about mumps.
No.
Have I not told you this?
No.
This is going to get pretty graphic, guys. God, we've not even started yet. Right. Well, I'm just going to tell you this quickly. So basically, I was put on. I had mumps, but they didn't know it was mumps, so they gave me antibiotics. And antibiotics kills bacteria, not viruses. Ooh. So I still just had mumps and didn't realise, and there's an awful precursor to this story, which ends up with me giving my boyfriend a yeast infection in his mouth. Anyway, so I had these mumps and I was off school with it. My boyfriend at the time, I was just sat in my bedroom in the dark, because basically from my chin it just carried on down to sort of like almost the top of my cleavage. I look like, you know, those frogs when they push their throats out. Like, I look like that. I was just sat in the dark like some like Victorian woman, and he came in and he's like, are you okay? And I'm like, don't turn the light on. And he was like, are you alright? And I was like, no, just please don't turn the light on, and just go and sit over there on the chair. Just don't. And he went, listen, I love you, whatever. I'm just going to turn the light on. We can't sit and talk to each other in the dark. So he switched the light on. I saw him look at me, his eyes open, he switched the light off and right on again. Just like, switched it right on and off. And he was like, I'm just going to go and get a drink of water.
like that film Lights Out.
Yeah.
Oh, God. And he left the light off.
Yeah, he left the light off. And first he spent about 10 minutes getting a glass of water. He must have been just dry heaving.
In shock.
Yeah. So I'd like, sweat through my hair, my just throat was out. It looked like I was wearing one of those neck braces but made of my own skin. It was disgusting.
Oh, it sounds awful.
So,
speaking of awful, let's crack on with the podcast.
Xinhai. The monster killer. Now, we're going to tell you as much as we can, but there isn't loads out there. So he was... I'll just wait till that's gone.
It's like bloody Noel's house party, you know.
What, are we going to kill a man?
Yeah.
If we're in America, you won't know this, but it was a really popular while we were growing up show called Noel's House Party, and it's just terrible. You'll probably find it on YouTube.
Yeah.
And it was like a fake house with a studio audience and people who'd drop by and, do cameos. But the guy who hosted it, Noel Edmonds, who's now the face of Deal or No Deal, that might have reached America, he killed a man, didn't he, on telly, and everyone just pretends like it doesn't happen.
No one speaks about it anymore.
No.
He didn't do it on purpose. Maybe he was stressed.
No, but this is the worst thing, right? I've got this footage of it out there. He was doing some, bungee jump challenge with a guy, so he stood on this bungee jump thing, take the blindfold off, and then basically the floor drops away underneath you, and you jump down, and the guy was about to do it, and then he started panicking and undid his harness, and they just pulled the thing open anyway.
Oh, God.
So he just died on telly. And I'm sure there was another kid who suffocated because of Mr. Blobby or something.
There was something else.
Got a broken nose at least.
There was something, yeah. But Deal or No Deal here is presented by Noel Edmonds, who is just an elderly kind of man.
Yeah.
Deal or No Deal in America
Go on.
is presented by very glamorous ladies holding the boxes themselves.
Really?
Yeah. It's proper sexy.
That's quite sexy, isn't it?
Yeah. So it's totally
Noel
different.
Edmonds is looking fucking weird. Our friend, Lou Conran, went on the show because it was a celebrity version.
Did.
And she brought a beard with her because he famously has a beard. And she took it into the makeup woman and she was like, I'm going to put this on so I look like Noel. And she went, you know what, I'll cut it because I know how he cuts his beard. And she was like, brilliant. And then she was putting it on and she was like, do you like me, Deal or No Deal? And the makeup woman to our friend Lou. And Lou was like, oh yes, it's good. And she went, and Noel Edmonds has done ever so well getting back on telly. He's not killed anyone in ages, has he? And the makeup woman just didn't say anything and just carried on cutting her beard. And then afterwards she found out that he is married to the makeup woman.
Oh dear.
Oh, he's done ever so well not killing anyone in ages.
That's my husband. Oh,
she must
horrible.
get it all the time though.
She must do. Well, she married him.
Yeah.
She married him. But Xinhai,
God, yeah,
China's most prolific serial killer that we know of.
Yeah, and there's because I think there's more, but there we go. So he had quite his upbringing. We don't know if it was particularly dark or difficult.
No, he was born on the 29th of July 1968, which is actually the same birthday as my mum. There you
Is
go.
it?
Happy birthday, mum. Yeah. And they think there was 67 victims, and he was born in a poor village in China. And he was one of the poorest families in the village, youngest of 4 children, and it said he was bright and introverted as a child, so no strange things there. In 1985, when he was 17, he left school and became a travelling labourer, and this is where the problems seemed to begin.
Yeah, he started turning to burglary, so he would, even though it's quite a poor province that he was working in, he would break into houses, and he started to get caught and started to amass a criminal record, and he also got done for rape.
He was sentenced to 5 years in prison in Henan province on a rape conviction. That's as much as we know.
Yeah.
So he was in prison for 5 years.
And then he was released, and then shortly afterwards, his spree started.
Yeah.
Now, I think there's something dodgy with this, but the reason was given in the state media for him going on this spree is that his girlfriend had found out about the burglaries and the rapes and had broken up with him, so he had gone on a spree. But I just think that is bullshit. I think that's shit, and that's exactly the kind of thing I would come up with if I was in the government and I didn't really like women and wanted to control how many children they had.
Yeah, it's a very poor excuse, isn't it? We're never going to know, but I mean, maybe that did happen, but I'm pretty sure other things might have happened to lead him up to.
I mean, he's a bit of a Bundy if that's the case.
Yeah,
Bundy got dumped and then killed a load of people.
But it's not as if he went out against women, because he didn't really have a preference. He went on sprees. He killed individuals. He used different tools and like shovels and hammers and things. He killed entire families.
Two entire
families. So it's not like he was on a thing for attacking women that reminded him of his girlfriend.
Yeah, brown hair with hoop earrings.
Yeah, it's he went for anybody, and it's interesting because I don't know, he just sort of... Because we've got no information about these victims or anything. There was also something that you found out that elderly women he was attacking for a while.
So 23 rapes and 67 murders is what they think.
Yes.
And of those rapes, that some of them, quite a lot of them were elderly women. Some were in their 90s.
It's horrible, isn't it?
It's really horrible. And he said, well, they were least able to defend themselves. So he just seems horrible. And they asked him why have you done all these killings? Because he did an interview on state television, didn't he?
Yes.
And one of the things he said is, I have no desire to be part of society. Society is not my concern, which is very much what Margaret Thatcher said, which I think I've said on this podcast before, but it's always good to give the Tories a kick in. So it's a weird thing that they basically think that he was like this outcast loner who was just going around killing, but that to me is the most fascinating thing, that he doesn't have... It's so scattergun. Because BTK started with a spree and started with stabbing, as a lot of them do, and then they go, fuck that, it's messy, let's go to strangling. And he had a type, it was, like attractive women, wasn't it?
And he liked to stalk, didn't he?
Yeah, he liked to stalk. So. All this stuff, they all have a pattern, don't they? But he is just like, will kill whoever, whenever. He used to sort of... the only common theme was that they're all Chinese, and that it was all in the countryside, it was never in cities.
This was in rural areas, and they reckon from the 19th September 2000... to the 22nd of October 2002, he'd committed 23 known murders and 6 rapes, and that's at the rate of 1 a month.
Jesus Christ.
Busy
That's
guy.
more consistent than this podcast, isn't it?
Yeah. But he was moving around rural areas, wasn't he? So areas like Henan, Shandong, Anhui...
These sound like
Hebei.
Sexy cocktails.
And Hebei.
Shandong.
Hebei provinces. And he was cycling as well.
He would cycle 2 hours between murder scenes. He's like the most carbon neutral serial killer that there's been.
I think it's such a Chinese thing to do, isn't it? It's cycling between these. It's so traditional. I imagine, it's extreme cycling, that, isn't it? Cycling between murders.
Yeah, it is. It's
extreme cycling with Yang Xinhai.
Like when Eddie Izzard runs 27 marathons or whatever. Yeah, it's weird, isn't it? And he also, we were talking about this yesterday, that his method of killing them was really brutal. He would use stuff he found in the house. So when he killed those families, so some things were like a meat cleaver, shovels, axes, hammers was, and apparently he would never use the same hammer twice.
Oh, well, like David Beckham never wears the same pair of socks twice, We've all got our little things that we like to feel special. I think hammers is awful, though. He was saying that a hammer is horrible. I mean, any way to kill someone's horrible, but a hammer in particular, because of the force you have to use.
And you have to be... when you're hammering something to the wall and you hit your thumb, and that pain's insane, isn't it?
Yeah.
But, to think about that, and just the fact that you have to be so close to that person. It's not like shooting where you pull a trigger and then remotely kill someone. It's so visceral, isn't it?
I know.
But stabbing or hammers is just like, ugh.
But I'm thinking as well, he used to wear a very strange outfit for these murders. He started to wear shoes a size too big or 2 sizes too big to put the police off the scent.
Yeah, that's quite clever, isn't it? That kind of... Yeah, the fact that he was... Well, that shows it's premeditated, because he would stalk a few of them, wouldn't he?
Yeah, he'd be stalking them before.
And the fact they had an outfit to try and, what's the word? Sort of throw them off the scent, shows that, this isn't just some random crazy guy on a bike who's like, right, I'll go in this one. This is going to put murder shoes on.
Yeah, there's a nice shoes. Oh, these are my murder shoes. Thank you. Yeah, he got to make an effort, and he was wearing... At one point, he was wearing shoes too big. He was wearing white gloves.
Yeah, and going around on a bike like Buster Keaton. Like a black and white movie star.
Carrying a shovel.
Well, this is the thing, because we were talking about, how's he killed a whole family without waking people up and waking the neighbours?
Yeah,
they're probably too busy pissing their sides at Sideshow Bob, flopping in through the window with his huge shoes on.
There's a clown at the door. Don't ever open it.
It's like an awful Cinderella, isn't it?
It's really strange. And the fact that he did kill entire families, which is horrific, but the fact that he managed to get into the property and kill people and not be overpowered in any way. And he's got a shovel or a hammer or whatever he's got with him, and he managed to do this. He killed... There was a family that he killed, which was the dad, his 6-year-old daughter, and he raped a pregnant woman as well.
Fucking hell.
And just the whole thought of the scene of that, it's just so bleak, isn't it?
Yeah.
So
really
bleak.
horrible. And that family that he killed in December.
This was the 6th of December 2002 in Lu Zhang village. It was a farm, obviously rural area, and the family that were living in the house were planning to move in 3 days. But unfortunately, before they could move, Yang Xinhai had stalked them, and he took a hammer into the house and he killed 5 of them. The worst thing about this, one of the worst things obviously, is that the father from the family had gone to stay at the other house the night this happened and came back to find absolute carnage at the old house.
Apparently his wife was still conscious, but she could only blink. She couldn't speak. So he just came back to this horrible scene. And, like, that poor guy, you know, having all those, like, I should have made them come with me, or if I had stayed, then maybe this wouldn't have happened. Like, it's just so incredibly sad. And, yeah, just 3 days. It's like the end of, what is it, with Mel Gibson, who was 2 weeks from retirement.
What film's that?
What is it?
Oh, come on, mate. I've seen Jurassic Park and that's it. You know me with films.
What's the film? It's Mel Gibson and a black guy and their partners. It's like Lethal Weapon. Lethal Weapon, there we go. So it's not even that good a reference.
So is that happens at the end?
Well, basically, it's the whole thing of, like, I've got 2 weeks till I retire. And then, I don't think it's a spoiler alert, the film's been out longer than I have.
You've had years to watch
I hate that.
Yeah.
And our friend, Toby Haydock, was a brilliant comic, and he writes about TV from the 70s, and he wrote an article in which he said, you know, and in this episode this happens. And someone went, oh, thanks very much for the spoiler. And he's like, it came out in 1971. If you've not seen it so far, that's your fault, not mine.
Well, funnily enough, I have a bit about this in my show because I talk about Dracula, and I was doing my show as a preview. What is this house? It's like fucking teenagers living in it. I was doing it as a preview, and I was talking about Dracula, and I said, oh, well, when Dracula dies at the end, or is murdered in my opinion, someone went, spoiler alert. I was like, it's been out for over 100 years. You cannot have... What have you, like, if you wanted to read it, you've had time. What have you been doing? Really irritates. It's not like it's Game of Thrones and it was on last night.
Yeah, Titanic must have been a real fucking strain for them, wasn't it? Like, I did not see that coming. They said it was unsinkable.
Just goes to show you never know. Unbelievable.
People are arseholes.
Yes, they are.
How would he have, like, chased someone in shoes too big? Like, I just don't understand it. It's also like I remember I used to wear... I know this is hard to me running shoes too big because my parents used to buy them for me to grow into, or I would get hand-me-downs from my brothers. I would always have, like, boys' clothes in school and to grow into. Although our friend Kath's mum won't let her wear leggings because her cousin... I'm going to change the name. She won't listen. Her cousin Steph wore leggings, and she's like... And then got really fat. And she's like, if you wear leggings, you just grow into them.
Because obviously stretching.
Yeah, because like jeans, you feel the difference, don't you? Because you can't do them up, and you go, oh bloody hell, I might slow down on the pies. Yeah. But if you've got a pair of leggings, leggings tell no lies, do they?
Leggings don't care what you look like.
Leggings love you whatever.
They love you whatever. When I was at school, our school uniform was bottle green, hideous, and it was a blazer and a grey skirt. I went to school that was a normal school, but thought it was posh. It was one of them. I had this blazer. And my mum went to the shop. It was just before my first day at secondary school. Mum got me this blazer, and she bought it about 3 sizes too big because it was massively expensive. It was like 60 quid.
I don't know.
So she bought it for me, and she said, I'll buy you a few sizes too big so you can have it for the next year or so. I had that from year 7 to year 11 because I didn't grow anymore. Yeah, I was tall for my age until I was 11.
I was exactly the same.
I've been this height, 4'10", since I was 10 years old.
Yeah, I've been... What am I, 5'3.5"? I've been that since I was 12 years old. I haven't grown.
Yeah, never grown. So I had this blazer all the way through school. It's up until year 11, and I've still got it now, and it's still too big for me.
That's mad.
I'll put a picture on the Twitter so you can experience the joy of the blazer.
Oversized blazer is the kind of thing that people would auction off when you die.
Do you reckon?
Yeah. You know, like Elizabeth Taylor would like auction off earrings or whatever. Like, and this is the jumper she talks about on the Underlistened podcast. All killer, no filler.
Can we start at £5 and finish at £5.50?
It'll be just someone from your school who's like, hey, those blazers are 60 quid. I'll have that for a £5.
Just set my name out of the back of it. Yeah, right. Oh, it's sad, isn't it? Bloody hell.
left quite a lot of DNA at the scenes, and he would leave these white gloves at the scene. I don't know if they're white gloves like Mickey Mouse and Antiques ones, or if they're latex gloves.
The problem is I'm thinking Mickey Mouse ones.
Yeah, me too.
And because I used to work in a rare books library.
Yeah.
But I'll let you into a little secret. You know when you're watching a documentary and someone's got a really old book and they've got those white gloves on? Don't really need them.
Really?
Mm.
Is it just for
For
this?
certain things, you do need them. If you're looking at certain things like photography from the old days, you have to wear latex gloves. But these white gloves that all these antiquarian book people have on the TV showing you things, don't really need them.
Do you reckon it's just because they've got fucking horrible hands?
Probably,
like
yeah.
Madonna.
Yeah. Oh.
Do you know? I
don't want to show me age next to this really old book.
Looking like Nosferatu, the claw coming towards it. But I think so. My friends were in a sketch group going to film a gift shop. And when they go for auditions for adverts, one of the like shit auditions, you know it's a shit one because they ask you to say your name and agent into the camera, and then they make you show your hands both sides.
Oh god!
And I think it's because we couldn't figure out, and I think it's in case that they cast you in like a Maltesers advert, and then like, oh, she's great and she's got a great face, and then when they're shooting it, they're like, look at those fucking hands. So I bet it's that you don't have like horrible hobbit claws or something.
Just in case. That's really depressing, actually.
It really is. They're just that was my shoe. It sounded like a fart.
That's all right. You go away. You go on.
I'm just very relaxed in this airing cupboard. But oh god, they're so depressing. When I've been for like castings for adverts, because they go, we think we want a female comedian, and they don't want that. What they want is a actress who's a bit sassy.
What they want is your jokes.
Yes.
With a model telling them.
Exactly.
That's what they want.
They go, improvise, play around, and you're like, I see what's going on here. So, like, Kath and I from the sketch group, we went to, and with Steph with the leggings she grew into, we went to this Maltesers advert, and they were going around, and they're like, to all these like beautiful little actresses going, okay, and so what shoe size are you, and what dress size? And they were like, 6 for both. And Kath and I were like, I'm like, it depends if like nothing in Topshop, but maybe like sometimes a 14, but so, like just to be sure, if it's up top, probably like an 18, and like if it's a bikini, it wouldn't be a bikini, would it? And then I shoes, so I've got quite wide feet, so maybe a 5. It's like the most embarrassing thing in the world.
I hate stuff like that. It's just really. Was it the Maltesers advert that's on now? Because I auditioned. Is it
where they wear like a Jacobean ruff?
Yeah, I think I went for that same audition.
Yeah, they sent every female comedian.
And I just found it really uncomfortable. Not the ruff, obviously, because I didn't make the cut, but the just the whole experience. And I absolutely hate Maltese adverts because it's another unrealistic representation of women on the television, isn't it? It's like you've got two extremes. You have women in porn and women in Maltese adverts. And in between it, you might find something relatable. I hate those adverts. Oh yes, aren't we quirky? We're going to talk like this. Oh,
yeah, they've either got a mouthful of balls or they've got a mouthful of Maltesers going, I'm so naughty.
The reason I went for that advert though, because when I got the phone call, I was like, do you know what? I'm really busy. I don't really fancy that. 20 grand if you get it. Right, I'll be there.
Yeah, that's
20 grand.
That's the only reason you used to do it, isn't it? Because the pay for adverts is great. That's what you see when you turn on television now in the UK. You'll see loads of like every advert's got a comedian in it with a slightly sad look in their eyes, but also a slightly happy look because they're like, I don't have to play shit gigs for 2 years.
I paid for Edinburgh.
There we go, enough paste again.
Yet again. Which is easy to do with this one because there's so little information we have. But after he killed this family, by this point it was 67 murders, 23 rapes, 10 people seriously injured from the attacks, and he'd wiped out 2 entire families. And he was eventually caught November the 3rd, 2003 in a... This is funny.
This is weird. It was a routine raid of entertainment venues. Those words shouldn't go together. You shouldn't have routine raids of nice places to be.
You're holding that bowling ball incorrectly, getting them down. Really,
actually, that is fucking annoying.
Really strange. But he was picked up by the police. It was in Kazan, and he was acting weird. And it doesn't say what he was doing.
Yeah, just that he looks suspicious.
He just looks suspicious.
In white gloves and massive shoes.
With a shovel. Yeah. Hanging around the bingo hall. I just, there's so little information. And then he had his trial. He was charged. I don't know if did they find his DNA? Did he admit it?
Yeah. Well, they did have DNA, but I think that they arrested him. And then they will have got the DNA later, won't they? But I think this is the thing, we don't know if he confessed or if they Because, I mean, this could have just been a mentally ill guy that they pinned a load of stuff on. It's been that heavily covered up.
Yeah.
That we don't... and also entertainment venue. Just tell me if it's a strip club, because that's what I'm assuming.
Yeah, what kind of... Actually, I'm imagining those in England, for our English viewers, you will know one of these. You know, the entertainment complex, like you have a Nando's on a car park, and a Frankie and Benny's, and the bowling alley, and the Cineworld, and usually a Harvester.
Yeah, and a map plane in there as well, just for a bit of
those kind of places.
Shaking it up.
And there's a Chiquitos as well.
Yeah.
I'm describing the exact one that I live near, actually. I always imagine one of those, so I'm just imagining him stood in the bowling alley or sneaking around near Nando's or Chiquitos or something, just acting weird.
Is Chiquitos big in China?
I don't know. I would imagine so.
If they're like being ripped off, it will be.
Yeah.
Fucking Chiquitos.
Not very good, is it?
No, it's shite. Charge me £9 for some lettuce with some chorizo in it.
Not for us.
No.
Anyway, we don't want them as a sponsor.
No, but we will take anyone's money.
We will, yeah.
Maltesers we should get. Maltesers
we're not getting it now. Yeah, but actually we could get a porn sponsor.
I bet everyone who listens to this is a frequenter of... Which one? YouPorn.
YouPorn. They could sponsor us. I'd feel uncomfortable about it, but I'd have it.
That's how the women on the website feel. I'll take the money.
Works, isn't it? So he was sentenced to death after a trial that lasted an hour.
Yeah, it's not that.
1 hour. And you said, how did you read out all the charges that have taken hour?
Yeah, you can't read out 67 names and another 23 names in an hour, and all the charges relating to it. I know this from my time on jury service.
Oh yeah, you enjoyed that, didn't you?
No, it was shy.
Oh.
Just was sitting around, just got a gypsy, a bit under the gypsy's thumb off. Traveller, sorry.
Yeah, travelling person. Person with caravan.
No, that's a scouser.
Yeah, that's right, sorry. So we don't know, he was executed, but he was either shot or poisoned. We don't know which, because they're being vague. So
yeah,
I'd rather be poisoned.
It is really vague. It really?
Yeah. Like if I'm gonna die and it's gonna be forced on me, I don't just want to be shot. I'd like to go out in a blaze of pain.
No, fuck that
vomiting
shit.
And
really?
make it as inconvenient for them as possible.
Well, I think if they shot me in the head, I'm sure that's going to take... Someone's going to have to put on some marigolds and get a scrubbing brush and sort something out.
I just think the clean up from poisoning would be a lot more unpleasant.
Yeah. It depends which one, I guess. I bet there's some poisons where you just foam at the mouth and die. But I would also like for everyone who's watched maybe Executed, because I bet that's a thing, that ruins their life as well.
Oh, yeah.
So, like, being shot in the head, I think, watching it hit the plated glass in front of them, like, you'll never unsee that now.
Oh, I'm seeing it now. You described it so well. I'm going to have nightmares tonight.
Thanks very much.
So that's pretty much all we've got on him. And it's a very short podcast, unfortunately. But
it's not that bad, because we've just wanked on about loads of other stuff.
You know, if China really does want to be so secretive, then these are the kind of episodes you're going to get.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I always wonder why, because I was like, we don't have many listeners in China. It's like, oh yeah, it's because they don't have the internet.
I think we've got one.
Is that it?
I think there's one.
Got more than that in Ghana. Hi guys.
Yeah. Hi guys, how are you? Hi to Ghana. We're doing a big one next though.
Yes, it's going to be a really long one. And then I think it'll take us up to a double bill of Fred and Rose.
You'd like that, wouldn't you?
I met some Gloucestershire's police the other day at the front row of a gig, and then I was saying, what was I saying to them? They had made some shitty comment to me, and I said something like, shouldn't you be arresting black people for no reason? And then I said, hold on, where are you police at? And they went, Gloucester. I went, well, there's no black people, is there? It's not an issue. And then I was like, hold on, how long have you been in the police for? And I was like, where were you while Fred and Rose were walking around?
Did you laugh?
No, they did not. No, it's a sore point. So we are going to do a big one next. Sorry, this is short, guys. We should have picked a bit better because he sounded really exciting.
Yeah, he did. And I managed to find one documentary on him, but it was in Spanish. I'll be honest with you. Having said that, the gaps between episodes, I probably could have learnt Spanish and then watched a documentary.
Oh yeah, sorry about that. That is a rare thing. We will keep it up once a month. It's just because the Edinburgh Fringe Festival is very busy. We're both very busy to get ready for it. So, like, we have tracked. This is the first time we've been together, and it is in an airing cupboard, hence the bangs. So sorry about the quality of the sound. And I think we're going to, to say sorry, we're going to release a bonus episode soon as well.
But next, we're doing Andre Chikatilo.
Yes.
So it's a big one. Lots of information there.
Yeah, and it keeps coming into the news, this one, because I thought there was a copycat killer.
Yes, they did. So there's quite a lot to report. But I must say as well, thank you to everyone that does listen to this podcast that has come to see us at Edinburgh.
Yeah.
Because there's been a lot of you, and that's really nice. I
So
like it.
lovely. Yeah, it's a really nice thing. I think that with yours though, they're like, oh, there's some stuff about serial killers in yours.
Yeah,
isn't
there's some
there?
stuff.
With me, it's just me just banging on about how hard it is to be a woman, and they're like, oh, this was missold to me slightly.
Yeah, there's quite a bit about serial killers in mine, and some other stomach turning stuff that you might enjoy. So come along, 12:05 every day till the 28th at the Community Project.
By the time this goes out, we might all be home.
Don't matter. Should say it anyway.
Thank you very much for listening.
Much appreciated.
We will see you back with episode 27, Andrew Chikatilo, but this was Xinhai, the monster killer.
The vague murderer.
Thanks very much for listening.
You.